I guess people say, well, honey, if you can't see, why aren't you wearing glasses? Do you just not like glasses? I say, no, I would love to have a pair of glasses, but what happens with keratoconus is your vision starts to deteriorate and you become uncorrectable. So plenty of people understand what it's like to have poor vision. My husband, his vision without contacts is far worse than mine. He puts on his glasses, he pops in his contacts, he's good to go. With keratoconus, you put on glasses and you're like, did I just pay for these? Are you kidding me? It's like taking the person next to you, putting on their glasses and expecting to drive a car or read a book. It doesn't work. And so then you try to put in contact lenses. And the majority of the time, they'll improve your vision. Not precisely, not like everybody else that's walking around next to you. You'll get some visual improvement with your contacts, but usually there's going to be a cost to put in those contacts. They hurt because you're putting contacts on a moving cornea. So they're going to rub, they're going to scratch. And so if you have ever had a corneal ulcer from anything, the person that sits next to you with keratoconus is probably going to have that once or twice a week because of those contacts. When my eye was not stable, it was torn up and ragged all the time. So you're going to have just, to me, now I don't know that this is everybody's story, but I was in excruciating pain. When this eye became not stable, the disease started to progress again, it didn't matter how good the lens fit was, it hurt. And so you're having to make this choice in the morning. Do I get up and sit like this in a dark cave because I can't see, or do I take a deep breath and start fighting with the contacts and put the contacts in? And you get stuff done in a limited amount of time. You try to get it done as fast as you can so you can take the contact out, and then you're back in your cave because you're sitting there because you can't see. And so you're always having to juggle productivity and pain and vision, and so you got a lot of balls up in the air trying to juggle it all. So I would think, Dr. Super explained it this way to try to explain it to a person that doesn't have this disease. He said to use your hearing as an example. If you're in a room and you have a jackhammer going off next to you, you can hear everything that's pretty much going on, but you can't make sense of the sound because you've got this jackhammer going off next to you. I think keratoconus is very similar to that. I can see images, but because they're blurry and they're double and they're ghosted and my lines are broken and distorted, I can't figure out what I'm seeing. So just imagine that jackhammer in your brain and how aggravated and tired and frayed you are, and that's how the person with keratoconus sees. It's just, like I mentioned before, there is a big emotional component to keratoconus because it is so frustrating and so exhausting. Worst parts, I think, is what it does to you on a daily basis. It just kind of erodes your self-confidence. Like I said before, it is physically exhausting because all day long you're having to work so hard to see, to process, to figure out what you're seeing. And you can see, for me, I can see just enough that my brain is getting all this input, but I'm having to figure out at the same time what I'm seeing. And so I guess if I think about my fears for keratoconus, it would just be getting older with the disease. I think, okay, I've got to be able to use my hands to get my contacts in. What if something happened to me and I couldn't get my contacts in or out, if I had some other tragedy? And so just the unknown. Now, I will say that having a good set of doctors relieves an incredible burden. Knowing that Dr. Rabinowitz has it, that makes me feel comfortable. And I would also want to say, if you have keratoconus and you're struggling with it, you need two doctors. You need a cornea specialist and you need an optometrist that is specialized in fitting contact lenses, because it doesn't matter how good your cornea specialist is, if you can't get the contact fit, you're going to be just as bad off as before. And so, can I say my contact specialist?
Yeah.
It's Dr. Paul Super. He's in Brentwood, and he has been a miracle worker for me. He's done what no other, I've been to lots of contact specialists that specialize in keratoconus. They gave up, they said you need a cornea transplant, and he was able to fit my eye when nobody else could. So I'm so thankful for him. So the fact that I found Dr. Rabinowitz and Dr. Super, that relieved a tremendous amount of anxiety, because I was able to say, okay, they've got it. And you find doctors that know what they're doing and they have a handle on it, that takes a tremendous amount of stress. The other biggest stress for me is the distance it takes to get to my doctors. We have to travel, put our life on hold. And so that, I mean, if I lived in Los Angeles, it would be so much easier. But I don't, so whenever something comes up, I'm having to, in the meantime, figure it out myself until I can travel here to see them. So. You know, I think about my kids. I have 2 little boys, and I look at them and think, is this what they're going to have to go through? And if they do, there's, you know, we'll know more and I'll have done more. We won't make the mistakes I had made in the past. And so that'll be fantastic. But if you could cure it, that would be phenomenal. I mean, I guess even like in my, I've fought with this for a decade. But prior to that, if just with topography, with that coming on the scene, so they can diagnose it. You know, 2-3 decades ago, they couldn't even tell you what was wrong with you. They just tell you were crazy. So having topography, having intacs, having cross-linking, that's fantastic for all of us. But to have a cure, oh my gosh, that would be too much. Not to have to worry about it for the next generation.